Director Leonard, just your thoughts and insights on an amazing day at Hamilton High School, sharing incredible motivational seminar, and then also the play McGuire by Enberg.
Excellent. And to be honest with you, did not know how it would come across. They're high school students in the year 2023, and we're talking about something that happened in 1977. But to be honest, it went over extremely well, especially that afternoon group. The questions, the excitement, and some of their questions, what they were asking, really related to exactly what we wanted that play to do. So I can't say more than enough about it. I'm looking forward to being able to take this all over the district, spread this out, and see what we can make of this.
And how important was it not only to have the excerpts of McGuire, but also have the motivational speakers? We had an incredible panelists, four tremendous members, and then we're doing a career fair before tonight's show. So just everything that ties in to creating this a full day of educational excitement.
Yeah, it's the whole package is going to be excellent. The career fair, I'm looking forward to meeting all the people that are there. We invited a lot of them in. I think that when we put the sort of the cherry on top of the sundae tonight, I think it's going to take off in a very different way. I think there's going to be a lot more parent involvement, and that's going to lend itself to a lot of questions, and that's what I love to do as a board director, because then we can start to really promote from that moment on, and we'll develop a plan from there to make sure that we make this grow tenfold if we can.
And speaking of promotion or possibly growing into something even larger, talk about how important it would be to possibly get a grant to fire back up the theater program in Hamilton High School. I know you had it in years past, but just when you see something today that works in theater into the educational forum, how does that get you excited?
It gets me excited. One, I saw the reactions of the students in the first group when I brought it up. Quite a few of them had responded with positives, and Hamilton did have a theater program here. In fact, my daughter was in that program. She was in that. So it's just another avenue for our students to grow and become more involved with the building. There is no question in my mind, when it comes to high school students especially, it's all the other opportunities, sports, arts, theater, music. Those are the things that drive students. The idea of actually putting together a grant through your assistance is really sort of a big positive for me. I'm looking forward to jumping into that as soon as we can. The idea to be able to give Hamilton that kind of program in their building just adds a lot of dimension to this school.
You just first name, last name, spell it properly.
First name is Anthony, A-N-T-H-O-N-Y. Last name is Crivello, C-R-I-V-E-L-L-O.
Perfect, Anthony. And you just completed two amazing morning session, afternoon session, excerpts of McGuire, centered around a motivational speaking discussion.
And one more to go.
Yes, and the kids were engaged. Can you just talk about that and how much meaning that is for you as an actor to realize that they really understood the messages from the play and had great questions about
it? Well, the plate was set because we had those tremendous motivational speakers. Bobby Kelsey, Bo Ellis, obviously, and Principal Green being here. So it is, what I was thinking was it was completely serendipitous for these students. Just a privilege to be in front of these kinds of people, to hear those kind of motivational words. And then the play, McGuire by Enberg, is then just sort of icing on the cake. Because the same kind of philosophies that they were talking about were the same things that were espoused by Al McGuire and what he would talk to his players. Yes, it was about basketball, but it was also about life and success in life. And those are the kind of lessons that he taught his players. His players come back, and as we've done, last inception we did of McGuire at the Next Act Theater, we had feedback from the players that we had brought in as speakers that would come and talk to the audiences afterward. It was tremendous what they were saying about Coach, the impact that he had on their lives. And hopefully what we're trying to do is, one, start with Hamilton High School and show these students of the grand possibilities that lie before them through hard work. It's hard work, but then also with the possibility of expanding to the entire Milwaukee public school system, and possibly would be great if we hit all of southeastern Wisconsin and then beyond.
talk about, Anthony, just how impactful the theater medium can be? Obviously, these students have an opportunity to see guest speakers or motivational speakers, and that's one thing which is phenomenal, but you have the ability to connect with them, I think, in a little bit deeper way through theater.
Well, when you're, especially in this role, and Al McGuire is a lot to strap on your back, but he's such a wonderful character because he's wise beyond his years. He has a very particular vernacular that is all his own. And the messages that he delivers are life messages. So it's really rewarding to play a guy like Al. And when you see younger people reacting to it, the purpose of theater is to affect people and not only to engage, but to get them thinking. And you could literally see the wheels turning with these kids. Specifically, yes, we had basketball players who had a very successful season this year who were here, but we had other students that were here that were from the general populace wanting to go. Between what an earlier show, I had a young man come up to me and he was asking me about acting. And one of the things also that is here, which is also serendipitous, Bob Rec Entertainment, what had happened was in conversations with Principal Green, find out they have a band, they have a chorus, they sing, they have music, they don't have theater here. It was done away with because of cutbacks in the program. So something like this hopefully can be a touchstone and spur on, hopefully to get some funding, to get theater here as well. It's important, the arts are such an important ingredient in all of society. One of the things that I'm affected when I come back to Milwaukee, which is my original hometown, is the fact that you see the news and every single story that is on the news is negative. Practically every single story, unless they're doing a story about dog adoption. And it is the positive messages like what was delivered today that is imperative for the youth of today, especially this group of kids coming out of COVID, who are now slightly behind the 8 ball. And there's so much a school like Hamilton has to offer. And again, Rec Entertainment in this particular instance, working with the Hamilton High School, not only for these scholarship programs, not only for those motivational speakers, but possibly even getting involved to help rejuvenate and continue to expand the arts in this school. Very important.
Final question, obviously you mentioned briefly that there might be opportunity to get a grant to get a theater program at Hamilton. Can you just talk about your personal experience growing up and how important theater was to you and a message you might have to any particular board member on MPS that's waffling one way or the other? Why should theater come back to Hamilton?
Well, and I'm a perfect example of it. I went to school, I was raised on Holton Street between Lloyd and Garfield, which was in the 60s when I was growing up, was called the Inner Core. That was then changed and now called Bronzeville, a little more family proper name, and trying to lead to future development. I was sent by my parents all the way to the south side to go to school, which was then Pionono High School, now is St. Thomas More High School, was that in my senior year. I played sports as well, football, and a little bit of wrestling, not a great wrestler, but I tried, and participated in student government, 4 years of course as well. My sophomore year, I had a teacher who said to me, maybe you want to think about doing this as a living. And so I received encouragement and was also, during those same years, going to the Sunset, like the resources are here, going to Sunset Playhouse and meeting people and all of that. That set a table for me, besides all the athletics. By the time I left high school, I had done 12 plays and musicals. And so that set a table for me to then go and audition for a scholarship to Marquette University. It was scholarship money, it was funding money that was able to, and my parents didn't pay for my education. I stayed out of school for 1 year. I worked at Johnson Controls, running a drill press, and I worked at Miller Brewery for 6 months. And I made money to pay my own expenses, and I was a commuter student, and so I had to pay for my gas and take care of my car as well. I mean, I needed the additional money. It is those funds that become imperative to try and support the kids in this community and give them the opportunity to succeed. I mean, and to give them the opportunity to succeed. And what was so imperative for me, again, was that scholarship money, the additional funding, being able to find that, and another message too, to all of it. It's not just the scholarship money, it's the mentoring. It's the mentoring and giving support to the kids. I'm a perfect example of it. And we have kids here, you know, this high school has succeeded in so many ways beyond its expectations. It's obvious being in this building, you know, and the support of having us literally here and being able to do this today 3 times in one day for student populace and educators in the community as well. It needs to be supported, and we need to find funding to keep this going. I mean, we've got great Bell Ambulance, Heiser Automotive, we've got great sponsors already. We need more. They need more. This community needs more. Because for me, going through, like I said, all of those steps from high school and through the college here as well, and then beyond for a successful career, none of that happens if I don't have the mentors and support behind me, you know, to hopefully have this opportunity to pay it forward. That's what it's all about.
Ms. Green, just your thoughts and insights on an amazing day so far at Hamilton High School. Obviously, we have the night show as well, but just a little bit about how proud you were of the student engagement and also the motivational speakers that you saw today.
I was highly impressed with the motivational speakers. They each came from their heart and their personal experiences, but they all came down to one thing: what kept them going. It was the teamwork, the love that was surrounded them, and the love of the people that they depended on and who depended on them. They really encouraged students to always move forward past their hurdles, especially with one of our speakers saying he literally fell on a hurdle and got caught in a downward spiral. But really he focused on his family and came back up, all of them. And the fact that the students were so receptive, we even had students that were asking personal questions and relating their lives to what they heard. And so they were looking for answers. And they were beginning to feel okay with, it's okay to be upset, but heal yourself by letting go. So I really saw the students feeling and understanding and excited about the message. And so when speaking with the leaders on the panel, they were so excited to see the play. I saw their intent. They were ready to see what more they were learning from the leadership. So I really believe that they gained a lot, but actually felt a lot to know for themselves that they have a purpose. And I think that line will always stick with me. It is a sin not to fulfill your God-given purpose. And that's what I see every day in the kids, that I want them to meet that goal. I want them to reach that God-given purpose, which is my goal, for them to get there. And so when I see that light in their eyes, or I see them connect with what people are saying, with successful people, it brings me proud that I know that they can begin to grasp what their real purpose, why they're here, and what they need to do moving forward.
And obviously you bring in a lot of guest speakers from time to time, and that is phenomenal. But just talk a little bit about the difference about bringing a guest speaker versus a forum like this, where theater really takes charge and you can affect change and be on an emotional level with the students, maybe a little bit higher level than just bringing in a speaker.
The difference is when we bring in a speaker, they do bring motivation and speak words of encouragement and ways forward. But this was more of a dialogue. The leaders presented what they had gone through, what adversities they had dealt with, and how they moved through them. And then they really were connecting with the students, where the students were eager to ask questions. I saw them standing around wanting to talk to each of the leaders, but they really felt it. And the thing that really touched my heart, when I believe each of the leaders stated, "We love you," to the kids. And that's what it's about, that full connection, to know that they're not alone, that there are supports, and that they heard it from multiple sources. Is those people that you need to forgive is not about the person you're forgiving, but about themselves. Being able to release so they can still grasp that full potential, because we can't grasp our full potential if we're holding on to anger and resentment. But to release it, to meet that goal of what they're called to do.
And finally, Ms. Green, how important would it be to possibly try to get grant money to bring the theater program back at Hamilton? Does an event like this really stoke the fires even more to say, let's get positive through theater?
Absolutely. It's also, I'm going to tell you, it's one of my dreams. It's always been difficult. As you all know, there's teaching shortages. So that's a hard thing when we're talking about people being able to actually use the theater. But I know that they, through this organization, there are professional actors that are willing to help get us off the ground. Because I've just been in conversations for musicals. We're getting 2 new band teachers for next year, and that was one of the things that was in my hopes. I wish we could get a drama teacher where we can combine and make musicals. And it's always important, especially in beginning stages, if we can get grants and funding that'll help get us off the ground, where eventually it can become something where students can take pride, sell the tickets, and begin to fully build the program. And I think it takes marketing, it takes being very open and presenting and never missing an opportunity to share. With the theater, it's not just about acting and presenting a play or performance, but it's about speaking. It's about sharing what they feel, sharing how they feel, and sharing the needs and the wants in the community that needs to be built around the whole community.
We just got done with an incredible show at Hamilton High School.
Hold on, I forgot one setting, I'm sorry. Because otherwise it's going to keep, now I should be okay. Will you point?
So, Tony, we just got done with 3 incredible performances at Hamilton High School. Motivational for the kids. I've recently found out that we are sitting on the floor of a 72-year-old theater.
That seats what?
That seats 1,400. Now, I'm looking at you and you're looking at me, and all the theaters we have been in, the old theaters from Broadway to across the United States.
The Pabst Theater here in town.
The Pabst Theater here in town. What would a grant do to bring theater back to Hamilton High School? I'm looking at the lights.
Yep.
Antique. I mean, we went through it in rehearsal where the whole thing went down. We were still able to perform.
Absolutely.
But theater is big. Theater is a great educator. It builds character. What would a grant do? And you've been around the block. You're a Tony Award winner, many TV shows, many Broadway plays. What would a grant do to this theater to upgrade and get a whole new program started?
Well, this theater is a diamond in the rough. I mean, you can, and I can literally do, and you hear an echo. The acoustics of the theater are wonderful. The facility itself is wonderful.
Yes.
The sight lines from those seats are wonderful. Those are all part and parcel of what can make this really a really special place to put theater on. And what was serendipitous here, if I may be so bold, is doing McGuire and doing the motivational speaking for the students and seeing their reaction. But in conversation with Principal Green, we come to find out they have a music department, they have a band, they have a chorus, they have theater, they have all the nuts and bolts, they have the logistics to potentially do it.
Absolutely.
But they don't have plays and musicals here.
Yep.
When we finished the first performance, we had a little luncheon afterward, and students were walking up to me. One student came up to me, and he wanted to know about acting. He wanted to know about performance. I questioned him, and I said, are you involved in the arts? And he said to me, yeah, I'm in the band, I play the saxophone. I said, that's a first leg up right there.
Yep.
So the funding to do that, and specifically the importance of the arts, I said this in a different interview before. You see the news in the city of Milwaukee, and the news in this city, of course, they're selling hard news, and a lot of it is negative. And you want to hear positive, and you want to have motivational speakers that are telling you positive messages and giving you hope. And one of the most important components of doing that as well is theater, is emotionally reaching out across the footlights and trying to affect people and to get them to change,
Yes.
to make change and to give opportunity. It is a missing component at this theater and at this school. And there is so much potential here already Because like I said, band, chorus, you have the stage, you have the lighting instruments, you've got the curtains, we just pulled off the performance with we showed that it is capable and possible of happening.
Yes.
There's no reason. What is lacking is the funding. What is lacking is the sponsorship to get it continually moving forward. There's ways of solving it, creative thinking. I mean, and it's great. It would be great to have Rec Entertainment be a part of it to help show and guide the way as well. And I know you are. I know you're already in conversations, not only with Principal Green, but also the superintendent, saying this is something that needs to happen here. And this is something, and she was speaking about it before. Principal Green was talking about the fact it's something that she's dreamed about.
Yes.
Bringing back here
Yes.
because it used to be here and it's no longer here.
Yes, and I'm going to call ourselves pioneers. I haven't seen this in a high school where you bring motivation, the play who has motivation in it, tie it all into one, and get the reaction that we've got from the kids. And like you said earlier in your earlier interview, you don't know when you're going to become an actor. You don't know.
No.
I mean, there could be Academy Award winners sitting out there.
Absolutely.
They don't, they don't know.
Nicolay High School has Academy Award winning composer.
Yeah.
Who's repeatedly, you don't know who the student sitting next to you, what's gonna potentially happen. What you have to do is provide them the platform to be able to leap up from there.
And what I see also in other communities is what's happening in this is that these big high schools are now building auditoriums
Absolutely.
this big, and they're calling them Cedarburg Performing Arts Center.
Well, that Performing Arts Center is there to serve the community, but also to serve the high schools.
And it's a moneymaker.
Is there one on this side of town? Not that I know of.
I don't.
And I mean, but you also have this facility already in this school. It's here.
It's here. I mean, it can become a revenue stream for the high school.
Absolutely.
And they can really put on big time with your experience. And of course, after I talked you into coming back here, to make it all happen on the programming side.
It's the funding. It's the sponsorship
Yes.
that needs to do that. And whether it is done by Hamilton High School itself, or if this high school works possibly, like they do sometimes with these other bigger performing arts centers, work in conjunction with another
Yes.
high school to then do a joint production and
Yes.
present from there.
Absolutely. Well,
I mean, I say that when I was a kid, I went to the all boys Pionono St. Thomas More High School when it was all boys. I was one of the guys that was going to St. Mary's Academy to Divine Savior Holy's Angels, and I was one of the guys that was in their productions.
Yep.
So theater students who are interested, if it happens and you do joint productions, I will guarantee you that those kids, and there's many of them, who love the theater, who have a passion for the theater, they're looking for the outlet. It's a perfect platform.
Yes.
Logistics, it's all here. And it's a resource that right now is not being utilized.
absolutely. Thank you for your time, and that's good.
We need funding.